Welcome, everyone, and thanks for joining me today as together we will empower ourselves to be better at who we are. I also want to ask you to share this podcast with many people as you can, and I would love for you to leave a comment about today's podcast. Also, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and make sure you hit the notification bell. Okay, so let's get into today's topic, and the topic is rediscovering the God created you. God created you in a unique way. You need to discover that, and you need to rediscover your purpose in life and who you are, and not allow people or things or systems in our society to dictate who you are. It is a fact that Scripture shows us that man lost his identity as he had a conversation with Satan. As you go in the book of Genesis, you find that Eve had a conversation with Satan, and that conversation led to Satan redefining who she was. He was telling her the things that God reminded them of, yet he did it in a subtle way, saying, okay, there's a reason why he told you those things. In fact, God doesn't want you to think independently of him. And in a sense, God, when he spoke to you guys, he really missed a couple of things. I'm paraphrasing a lot of stuff here just to give you an idea that the devil tried to redefine who they were. And unfortunately, they bought into that lie. The conversation brought man's will and thinking, if you will, to be something that's outside of the will of God. And isn't it true that today so many people have messed up their lives just by one conversation, just by being in the wrong company, the wrong environment, talking to the wrong people, opening up themselves to the wrong concept of life. And that is very dangerous. That's a dangerous thing for you as an individual, especially a woman or a man of purpose, to camp out at places that are designed to destroy you. All of us have our testimonies of being at places, whether it is physical or mentally, where we had no business being. We had no business being at those places. Those places have robbed us of years of progress. Come on now. Years of progress. Why? Because we camped out at the wrong places. It is very dangerous to think that you can find more of yourself through the opinions of people and institutions. I believe most people mean well, but it's very dangerous leaving it up to people to tell you who you are and where you need to be. It is so important that you rediscover who you are because, look, you're not lost. You're not a person without a sense of purpose. You're not. You just need to find yourself. And I don't know who I'm talking to today, this morning, this afternoon, this evening, depending on what time you're listening and watching this. You need to find ways to rediscover who you were meant to be. Many of you are living beneath your privileges. God has called you and created you to do some amazing things, but for some reason, you have opened up yourself to the definition of who you are based on people's idea of who you are. It is very unfortunate that many people have lost their sense of worth and are living with the false ideas of who they are based on what was told to them by the systems that are in this world that, by the way, was designed to keep them ignorant to who they really are. Now, I know that's a mouthful right there, but all I'm just saying is many of you don't know your worth because you've allowed the false ideas that are floating around our world to tell you who you are. Some of you think you are less than you are, I should say, because you don't have so much money, or you don't have this, or you don't look a certain way. It is crazy how we think. I had the pleasure recently of sitting down with a group of people talking, and I was doing an interview, and one of the ladies made a comment that was kind of an eye-opener for me. It was an eye-opener, I should say, for me. It really made me realize that a lot of us, we need to rediscover who we are. We've lost our self-worth. And this individual, a female, said that she was trying to present herself in a more, paraphrasing it, in a more acceptable way to people and especially to men. So therefore, she was attempting to go and to change her body to do that. And the only reason why she didn't get it done at the time, it was too expensive. Now, I'm not against, modification to your body, plastic surgery, whatever. That's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm not against that. I think, if you want to do it, you've got the money and so forth, and you can safely do it, that's fine. Go help yourself. But the danger is when you're doing it for people and not for yourself. Because one of the things you must understand about people, and it is, people are flaky, they're inconsistent. You try to please them today, they'll flip the script on you tomorrow, and before you know it, what you thought would please them today, they raise the bar tomorrow. It takes something else. You cannot live up to people's expectations. You can't. So when a woman says, I'm going to do it to attract a man or to keep the man, that's a huge mistake. Because, honey, I'm going to tell you something. You can change that body today, but if you keep on living, all that modification that you change, you're going to have to make another change again to keep up that body. And let's just be honest. It's very unlikely when you get to your 80s and your 90s that you're going to look like you're in your 30s and your 40s. It's very unlikely. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, but at some point in time, you got to let it go. You got to let it go. You just got to let it say, hey, because here's the truth. When someone truly loves you and cares about you, it is not about the external thing. We go through all different stages in life. Listen to me. When God created you, thank you, God. You have to remember, when God created you, He created you because you're a spirit, first of all. And spirit doesn't need flesh and blood in order to survive. Come on now. Flesh and blood needs spirit in order to survive. That's why when the spirit leaves your body, you're dead. The body now starts decaying. But the spirit man needs none of that. So before you entered in a body, you were a spirit. And God created you that way. He created you as a spirit. And therefore, when He placed you, watch this, in a temporary body, when you became a baby, it was a baby, it grew, and that creates time. And that also lends itself to the idea that you're only here for a set time. So things are going to change. Your face is going to change. Your body is going to change. but your spirit remains the same. Are you hearing me? So when you go changing yourself to please a man or please a woman, you have to remember your body is going to change. So if they just love that sexy body right now, they love that sexy body looking at you, and the brother is saying, my goodness, I love everything about her. Well, if the love is just based on that, you got a problem, because as you're aging, he's no longer going to fall in love with you. He's going to try to find somebody as young as when he met you. But when love is there, man, all of your teeth could fall out. He's going to love you because he loves your spirit. When you lose your hair, he's going to love you. So even if one day you forget to take off your weave or your hair, whatever, he's still going to love you. Be careful. If you're not comfortable being naked in front of the person you love, you got a problem. That person is not deserving, because if they're going to judge you, see, you want to marry somebody that you don't have to fake nothing, that you just be you and that they accept you. And I think men needs to improve in this area. Here we are, all of us, we're created by God, and we have to learn to be better at accepting women and making them feel comfortable, and stop putting so much pressure on them, trying to get them to live up to this false expectation. Anyway, let me leave that alone. But it's so unfortunate that we've lost our sense of worth. Like Adam and Eve, we too have lost the knowledge of who we are, and it's time we rediscover our worth and purpose. It's time we rediscover. Go find it. Go retrieve it. Go back and get it. It's not lost. It's always there. You just need to reclaim who you are. The God created you, not the person that society has created, not the person that life and its circumstances has created. Many of you've been created by life. In other words, who you are now is a byproduct of the experiences of your life, and that's bad. Whatever you do and whoever you be, it ought to be a reflection of the God created you. That's what I try to do every day. I try to live every day in such a way that I ask God to help me to make sure that I am living my life the way he intended for me to live it. That's my sole purpose in life. I want God to help me to live the life that he intended me to live. I want to be the Henry that God has created, with the spirit, with the personality, with the charm, whatever. I want to be who God has created me to be, not what my circumstances in life has put upon me, not what people do or say to try to redefine who I am. I want to be God's man. You should want to be God's man, God's woman. So you have to rediscover your purpose. Why are you here? Why were you created to be a male in the first place? When you discover yourself that God created you to be a male, that's a reason. That is a reason. It's kind of like, and the best way I can put it, it's kind of like, okay, you built a house, right? You built a house, you built it, the square footage you want, the size rooms, the location, you build it to your specification. That's you. That's your desire. Because what? It serves your purpose. So if somebody was to come to your house and say, you know what? I don't think you did right, da 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 da. Maybe you made a mistake. I think you should alter and change and so forth. Now you have to ask yourself the question, maybe what they're suggesting is a good idea. Nobody's saying that's not a bad idea. It's maybe a good idea for you to make some alterations to your property. However, you have to ask yourself the question, number one, is that what I want? Number two, will that please me? And will it serve my purpose? What are you saying, Henry? What I'm saying to you, it's the same way with God. When God created you, he never made a mistake. So therefore, to go to the creator of a thing and to say, well, I don't like the way you made me. I'd like to make some alterations to what you have made me to be, then that's a problem. Because you no longer serve the purpose of the creator. Just like the person who tries to alter your property, that property no longer serves you. So therefore, that's why you're going to I want to move or whatever it is. The point I'm making, we've got to accept who we are, how God created us with the personality. Now, somebody's personality may be so quiet and, if you will, mellow, if that's the term I would permitted to use, while others feisty, full of energy and spicy, and so forth. It's okay. That's how God has created all of us. And I think all of us need to stay within our God-given calling and our purpose. But first, I think it's really important for us to address the brokenness and dysfunction that is destroying our God consciousness. Now, if I had a lot of time, I would labor on this part of the presentation. We've got to work on our brokenness, our dysfunction. If we are going to rediscover, if we're going to find that path to who we really are, there's some brokenness we've got to fix. There's some dysfunctions we're going to have to address. I can't tell you how many people are walking around the planet, and perhaps you're one of them. You're broken. And some people won't admit it. Some people honestly can't see it, and that's even the worst position to be in. The worst position to be in life is to be so closed-minded and so arrogant, full of pride, that you shut every opportunity there is to point you to your brokenness, to point you to your dysfunction. Some people don't want to deal with it. Some people don't want to deal with their dysfunction, and they try to shove it under the rug. But I'm telling you, you're going to have to deal with it. All the dysfunctions at all levels: personal dysfunction, family dysfunction, relational dysfunction, financial dysfunction. Come on now. Unhealthy practices, all of these brokenness, family generational curse, all these things, we've got to find a way to address them. Because until you confront a problem, you will never address the problem. Let me say it again. Until you confront a problem, you will never address the problem. And we need to confront situations in our lives. People are not reaching their God-given potential in their careers because of brokenness, dysfunction. People are not having healthy relationships because of brokenness and dysfunction. Many marriages that were meant to survive paid a huge price because people are broken. One or both parties are broken. One or both parties function in dysfunction. They thrive in that. And like I said, it is very unfortunate. Some people can't see it, while others will see it, but blatantly ignore it. Or the third level, don't ever approach them with it, because they'll let you have it. They're not humble enough to receive constructive criticism and suggestions. All right? We must be awake and aware of what's happening around us, and we must be willing to address the problems that are in our lives and be willing to make the necessary changes. We've got to be willing. You've got to be willing. Make the necessary changes in life to help us to rediscover the God created us. To rediscover a thing doesn't mean the thing is lost. However, it simply suggests that you go back and reclaim what was always there from the beginning. Everything you're supposed to be, you are already those things. You are those things already. You just need to go discover it. And some of you did once discover who you are, but somehow you got distracted. You ended up in a conversation with yourself, the negativity, with people, or the systems in our society, and therefore you lost it. The truth is, we have lost ourselves and our sense of purpose on the earth. I mean, I hope I've provoked you so far, and examine yourself to see, okay, who are you? Why are you not what you should be or what you were called to be? Think about that. You see, you have to begin to love God and to love the fact that His creation is perfect. And when He created you, He created you with perfection. Therefore, you are perfectly created or designed to be who He has called you to be. God created you just the way you are, and you should be okay with that. You want to know when you have truly arrived in life and you're at a wonderful place is when you're okay with yourself. That is so liberating. When you're okay with yourself, when you can say, I'm fine, I love me, I'm doing well, I'm okay where I'm at. I may not be where I would love to be, but you know what? I'm okay. I'm okay with my skin tone. I'm okay with my sex. I'm okay with my singleness. Yeah, though I need somebody, but I'm okay with my singleness. I'm okay being married. Oh, which the marriage could be better, but I'm okay being married. You know, I'm okay with my salary range. You know I'm going to get better. I'm in school now, whatever, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with no children. I'm okay with 2 or 1. I'm okay with the career path that I have chosen. It's personal. Nobody put a gun to your head to go after that job and that career. I'm okay with opening this company, but what you don't want to be okay with is to be less than who you are. That is unacceptable. It's not okay. It's not okay to relax and to be comfortable being who you were never designed to be. It's not okay. And you shouldn't. You are created with the abilities to make choices, and those choices will either make you successful or they'll make you a failure. You'll either become a failure or a success. It's up to you. By the choices you make. By choosing to say, I embrace the God created me, not the person that man's trying to create, not what life has thrown at me. I'm not a product of my environment. I'm not a product of life. I'm not a product of my feelings, my emotions. I'm a product of who God created me to be. Oh, that is so liberating. So, as I close, I want to give you, I believe it is six things you need to do in order to rediscover the God-given you. 6 things. Number 1, get the truth about who you are. Get the truth about who you are. How do you get that? From God's word. From having a positive mind. Cultivating your thinking around positive environments. Get the information. It's out there. It's in the word of God. You are fearfully, you're wonderfully made. So get the truth about who you are. Number 2, love who you are based on God's definition of who you are. So it ties into number 1. You get the truth about who you are. But number 2, now that you have the truth, love who you are. Because God knows what he's doing. He knew when he created you with perfection. So what you need to do is love yourself. Self-love is the best love you can give yourself. Number 3, be okay with your own journey in life. When you're okay with your own journey in life, you don't let the experiences of that journey define who you are. Because you're so okay with bad experiences, bad judgments that you've made, crazy people coming and going, the dysfunctions in the world, the brokenness. You're okay with it because you love who you are, because you discovered who you are. Number 4, be willing to put the work in. Be willing to put the work and time in. Let's put it that way. Be willing to put the work and time in. You got to work, and you got to take the time to get there. To say, I'm going to discover who I am. You got to work towards it, and you got to be willing to put the time in it. It is not magic. It's a lifetime journey of discovering who you are, right? You know, it calls for renewing your mind. How do you put the time in? How do you put the works in? You got to renew your mind. You got to equip yourself with the tools to help you reach that goal. What training do you need? What environment? I mean, all these things that are readily available to you, you've got to try to find those things to help you discover the God created you. Number 5, get rid of excessive baggages. Now that's a big one. Get rid of the baggages in your life. Those things will prevent you from being who God created you to be. I can't tell you how many people walking around with baggages, and maybe you're one of them listening. You're never going to discover the God created you when you keep having these dead weights around you, dead weights of the past, dead weights of family drama, dead weights of past relationships, broken relationships, dead weights of the craziness on the job, dead weights on, you name it. You got to get rid of those things. And finally, number 6, and I love this, enjoy the journey and avoid being frustrated. Enjoy the journey and avoid being frustrated. As you're on the path of rediscovering who you are, who God has created you to be, enjoy the ride. Just don't get frustrated, because you know what? Things are not always going to go in the right direction, but it's a journey. Try your best to do that. Whatever you do, rediscover the God created you. I want to run through these 6 things again because some of you are taking notes and I heard you. You're saying, oh, I missed this one. What is that again? Let me repeat. And they're going to be putting it down on the screen there, the lower third. And I hope you get it. Number 1, get the truth about who you are. Number 2, love who you are based on God's definition of who you are. Number 3, be okay with your own journey in life. Number 4, be willing to put the work and time in. Number 5, get rid of excessive baggages. And number 6, enjoy the journey and avoid being frustrated. I want to say thanks for watching and listening to the podcast today. I certainly appreciate you. Thank you for partnering with me. And remember, my podcast can be seen and listened to on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or my website, henryfernandez.org. Let me hear from you. I'll see you next time. Thanks again.